What's good, everybody? What's good, man? Happy Thursday, y'all. Happy Thursday. How's everybody doing? Yo. Almost at the weekend, baby. I'm trying to fix this thing really quick because it's going to bother me. But we almost at the weekend, man. We almost there, baby. We are almost there. Thank you guys for joining me, man. Hope everybody's having a great day so far, a great week, and welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. And as always, it's your host, your boy, Jayson Estrera. Now today, we are going to be talking about the future of the NBA, starting with the youth and ending with the players that we have now, right? This episode is all about the future, and it's not going to be a super long episode today, I don't believe, unless I start yapping my ass off. But I do want to dive into this. I've seen some things that just got the wheels turning. And when it comes to young players, up and coming players, right? There's such a thing as, and you've probably seen this online before, but expectation versus reality. And what does that actually mean, and what does that actually look like in the NBA, right? So let's take a look at expectation is what we'll start with, okay? We'll start with the expectation portion. So let's take a look at this video really quickly.
Minutes in an NBA game. How many points?
I'm gonna be modest. I can get a 15 piece.
That's modest.
20 if I'm feeling great. But that's real green light though. That's real green light. I draw so much attention on the drive, I get 6 assists. Okay. You feel me?
I got the green light.
Green light, greenest it ever been.
I'll say 20, but I'm shooting a lot of shots.
Well, everybody's saying they could get 20 right now. It's crazy.
Or like 25. 25? No,
You ain't
no, 25?
You know what?
No.
Hey, my dog.
I'll get like 20. I'll hit some open threes.
I like that. Honest.
I'm gonna be so realistic with y'all. I played NBA players before, so I feel like I'll have 15 to like 20 in that range. Okay. And then I'll probably have like 7 to 8 assists.
Excuse me?
Interview, that's it. 15. Everybody else said
20 and up.
They're lying. I'm gonna be honest, they lying. And I'm just coming from a dude that has to play against pros. I'm so serious. Yeah, they lying. I'm telling you.
I agree.
Who we playing against? Who guarding me? Okay.
Bro, no. 48 minutes in the NBA game.
I got 15, 4, 6.
You know what, bro?
That said that realistically.
And I believe one day.
Listen. Those kids are out of their fucking mind. Out of their mind. I love the confidence, right? You have to be confident. That's a huge part of sports and honestly in anything, right? Is the confidence. And for that part can't waver. Right? That's important. I do want to note that. There's some people that'll look at that, these kids are just cocky or they're out of their mind, they're dead wrong, blah, 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 blah. That's cool, right? They could be absolutely wrong. And if they make it to the NBA, they'll be met with reality. However, even as a role player, confidence is important, right? It's super, super important. Now, when we look at a player like Kevon Looney, right, who is 10 years in the league, 3 championships. Let's take a look at what Rico Hines had to say about him.
When you have somebody who is very successful in the runs but doesn't see that same success, what do you attribute that to?
I've seen that a lot. It's all about the system and the scheme. You know what I mean? Like that guy might have a little bit more in his toolbox than that scheme may want to show. I just left Looney a few minutes ago. And
you go there, you'll be best big man here.
Just left him.
Dunk, post.
Yeah, 10 years in there, got 3 championship rings. He's gonna play for a long, hopefully another 5 years, 6, however much long he want to play, 6 years. And he really understands the game and he understands that Golden State system. So I think sometimes it's just about the system and understanding, like, they don't need you to be a hammer. They need you to be a screwdriver. Everybody's not superstars, though. Everybody's success is different.
When you have somebody who is very successful.
Right. The reality of the NBA is this. Every year, 15 players are selected as the top 15 best players in the NBA at their position, the most dominant players. How many? Out of 450 players, right? That's the tippy top. That's the tip top of the iceberg. 450 of those, 15 are selected as the best, and even sometimes that 15 is in question, right? An all-star game is what, 2 12-man rosters, so 24 players. Every year, 24 players out of the 450 are considered all-stars or stars or remotely to a star. You could make an all-star game and not necessarily be a star per se, right? So that leaves everyone else, right? 450 NBA players in the league. Only 24 of them every single year are considered an all-star. If not, you could be a good player. You could be a very good player. But the other 426 of y'all are considered role players. So, no. None of those kids, the way they are right now, can't get 20 plus points. I don't even think they can get 15 in 48 minutes in a basketball game. the physicality, the speed, the schemes that the defense is running. They're gonna funnel you. They know what you're gonna do. You're gonna turn the ball over. 8 assists is outrageous. Let's just call that what 8 assists might have been worse than the 15 points. I don't think you're getting 8 assists. Let's just call that what it is. Right? So this idea of expectation versus the reality, right? Because there's a lot of very talented, very skilled players, right? There's a lot of them. Of those guys, who are the best conditioned, who are in the best shape? And of those guys who have skill and who are in the best shape and have athleticism, of those who aren't quitters, right? Out of high school and college kids, right? That's what the NBA draft is, right? It's a group from college that's a combination of talent, skill, peak condition, have athleticism, have a good mentality to not quit and to persevere and go through with it, right? And in the draft, there are what, 50 players get drafted every year, and a fraction of them even make a team. So when you start thinking about these numbers, right, off of the sheer statistics, you're not going to be a 20-point per game scorer. And I think the other part of it is this too, right? When it comes to the fans, right? We watch these games, we dissect these games, these players, right? I think that there are some fans out there, and I've obviously never played in the NBA, didn't even play college, right? But I understand that it's difficult to score 20 points in any league that you're in. Some people might say otherwise, right? But to be a player that can get 20 points in all of these different leagues, it's not easy. So when you look at these players in the NBA and they're getting 15, 18, 17, 20 points, that's actually phenomenal. Because in other situations against other players in other leagues, that's 30, 35 for those guys. That's why they all go into pro-ams and get 50s. Because that's how good the top of the league is. And then we'll see role players that explode and have big nights. The league is that good, right? That someone that could potentially be a 20, 25 point per game scorer will take a lesser role because the guy standing next to him is that much better at getting 30 points, 35 points. That's what the reality of it is. That's why when they get out in these pro-ams or in these scrimmages or in these summer runs, they start going crazy. Because against those guys, against that group of up and coming or pros from overseas or semi-pros or whatnot, where there isn't a system, where there isn't schemes, strategies, and all that stuff, this guy gets to just show out. But that person also knows when he goes back to the team that there's a hierarchy because that's how great these guys are. So expectation versus reality is very important, I think, for these kids going into the league, right? To have high expectations for themselves, to have confidence and have the mental fortitude so that doesn't waver, right? But to also understand that reality can and will kick in, right? At some point, reality will kick in, and that at the end of the day, every single year, only 24 out of 450 players are all-stars. Only 15 are all NBA players. There's only one MVP, one scoring leader, one rebound. The percentages go down significantly. And everybody else is just a role player. The other 426 players in the league are just essentially role players. So you have to be able to develop your game so that if you fall short of your expectation when reality kicks in, that you can still be an effective part of this league. That's what it really comes down to, right? So I think a part of this pressure, right? A part of what adds to and skews this vision of expectation versus reality is the media, right? The media critiques all of these players, right? And it's their job. But sometimes they critique it and fail to understand the inner workings of these teams, right? These organizations, this league. I can give you the scouting report. I can give you all of the players' tendencies. I can give you the playbook. I could give you everything. I can let you learn it. I can let you understand it. You can know everything by the book, right? If you're just I could give this to you, right? And yeah, you could answer all of the questions on it. You know it like the back of your hand. But when you step foot on that floor and you hear everyone screaming, celebrities are over here, left, right, front and center. Referees talking in your ear. Guy guarding you saying something. Bron is calling out what your defense or your offense is about to do before you do it. You specifically. Now go and try to run whatever that play that you're trying to do and execute it. Read everything on the fly. When someone angles a pick a certain way to try to block you or to direct their person. To do all of that stuff on the fly, it's a lot more difficult than it sounds. When the media looks at someone, oh my God, how the fuck could you miss that? As if they didn't want that, like as if they didn't want to make a shot. It's crazy to me. Sorry. It's crazy to me. As a media member and as a fan, you think it sucks when the player misses a big shot at the end of a game, right? A game winner. You think it sucks, right? Imagine being that player that's done the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of shots and has done the practice and put in the work and the hours to miss that shot. Imagine how that feels. See, we get the luxury of turning the game on at 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, whatever the time is, right? We see them warming up. And then they tip the ball off. They start playing the game and we watch it and we critique it. This person did this right. This person did this wrong. Good shot, bad shot, whatever the case is, right? But we miss out on that entire day, right? They got a call from their mom or something early in the morning. Maybe they got in a fight with their girl or their aunt or whatever. kids being crazy, right? You got to go do this. You got to go do that. You got to practice. This person's happen before they get to the game. We don't even see what their practice looked like that day. Maybe they had a shit practice. Maybe they had a great practice. All we see is the finished product. Steph Curry said it, right? Everyone sees all the three-point shots that he hit, the turnaround, the celebration. People don't understand that in order to shoot that far, he had to first shoot very, very close. And if you've never trained in basketball, you wouldn't know that. You think that a motherfucker just steps on the three-point line and starts shooting it, and that's how they practice it. No. You're under the rim. You're swishing them. You go around the world. You do spot shooting, and you work your way out. But we don't see that. All we see from Steph is when he shooting the shot, he's shimmying and shit. We don't get to see that work. You see, there's some media that they get attached to, oh, this person is a star player, or this person is a clutch player. You have to make that shot. How could you miss that shot? Not realizing that sometimes shots go in and sometimes they don't. There's times I even catch myself over analyzing some shit. And it's just as simple as they made the shot or they didn't. They missed assignment or they didn't. Yeah, we can critique it up and down, but sometimes that's just how it shakes out. Milo's tweaking right now. But this critique from the media, because we've been taught that their word is gold, right? If you grew up watching ESPN like I did, you see all these guys in suits talking about the game. They have all the stats. They have all the highlights. It gives you this illusion that they watched all of the games front to back. It gives you this illusion that they actually know these players and these athletes and these coaching staff. And especially nowadays, that's not really the case. It's become clickbait. It's become headlines. It's a job for them now, right? Maybe when they started their journey to become an analyst or a TV personality or a host or whatever on ESPN, maybe they did used to watch all of their games and they were trying to learn the game and understand the game and, you know, gain knowledge in it, right? But it seems like as time has gone on for some of these guys, it's become less about the actual sport and more about their fame and their popularity. That's why they just say fucking whatever. They know what's going to get a rise out of people, what's going to get a reaction, and they'd rather go with that rather than using what they actually know. I will say too, right, that there are some players that have beef with players that retire. Because, oh, you're an analyst now, da-da-da-da-da. And on that, I will say too, there definitely is a difference between playing the game and watching the game. What I mean by that is this, right? For example, maybe there's a strategy where the way that you guys double, like, or the hack-a-shack. Let's do a hack-a-shack, for example, where when you're in the game, in your mind, it's probably like, all right, this shit makes sense. We have to do it. We can't guard him, blah, 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 blah. But when you're watching it, you're like, wow, that shit is hard to watch. That shit is tough to watch. And I do think that is something that some players will just have to learn, right? Like all the 3-point shots, I'm sure they're in the system right now. They're going through their walkthroughs, their numbers, and everything makes sense because they're going through it, right? I'm sure some of these guys, when they retire and they watch the game, or some of them might even think it now, they'll look at it and be like, we're shooting way too many goddamn threes. It just looks away, right? Visually, just it looks crazy, right? But I do think that the media has had a hand in adding this unnecessary pressure, especially to up-and-coming athletes. And, you know, when you go through the draft, everything is a comparison, right? Like, when basketball guys compare it, we compare them to players in the league or that were in the league for a completely different reason as to why the media does it. I know some of y'all probably won't agree with that or don't get it, so I'll explain why. The media and these analysts give comparisons to these players to say this is what you should be, right? When hoopers analyze a player and what they do coming up into the league, there's comparisons, right? But those comparisons are so we can envision what they could look like on an NBA floor based on their skill, based on their athleticism, based on what they do well. And with that comparison, you start to think, okay, what kind of team, what was the setup of that team that they were on? Okay, what worked, what didn't work, blah, 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 blah. It's much less about, oh, you look like a Drew Holiday type of player. You need to play like Drew Holiday, or you need to end up like Drew Holiday. No, it's more so you do some things that Drew Holiday does well. To have success, you're going to have to on-ball pressure, 90-foot. But that doesn't mean that if you go out there and you actually have success being the primary ball handler, that somebody's going to say, oh, shit, you can't do that. We're just seeing what you do well and how it could potentially translate. I feel like the analysts put guys in a box, or they put this too high of an expectation. Oh, this motherfucker looks like Michael Jordan. And you're like, wait a second. When Michael Jordan was a rookie, he didn't look like Michael Jordan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, expectation versus reality. Where is this? Oh, it's a fun. Oh, here. And this is honestly one of my favorite players growing up. LaMarcus Aldridge talking about Victor Wembanyama.
I would just break his shit down and be like, get a move that if it's fourth quarter, you're going to go to it. Like, my shit was always my fade. Beginning of the game, end of the game. And I was like, it helps you stop thinking so fucking much. Like, end of the game, like, you too skilled. You trying to think, do I want to do this, or do that, and do this? Like, get one move where it's like, I don't care who's guarding you. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, then build off that shit. But I feel like he's so skilled. He's like, got 18 different moves in his head, and he's playing too fast right now. So I'm just like, slow yourself down and get two moves to go to.
I love hearing this shit, because I wasn't that kind of scorer, so to hear the science of it and how you break it down, that shit is dope. When you simplify it, because at the end of the day, it's very simplified if you work on what you're supposed to work on.
Get a move where if it's first quarter, fourth quarter.
So, there LaMarcus Aldridge was talking about Wemby simplifying his game. That, you know, right now, he has this bag of tricks that he could go to, right? Excuse me. And we've talked a lot about, you know, this, you have to think the game, right? But when you're thinking the game, and this is what I mean, right? I think people have transitioned to thinking about the moves and the moves that they're gonna do. Oh, I want to do a hezzy pull if he do this, da 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 da. It seems as though it's become more about that as opposed to thinking, okay, time possession. Who shot the ball last possession? Did we turn the ball over? Did we get a good shot? Have we shot too many threes in a row? Should we try to get a layup? Am I dribbling too much? Do I do a backdoor cut? What defense are they running? Are they playing tight? Are they playing up? Is the guy there? Is the low man there? And there's so many things to process in real time during a basketball game that if you can simplify your moves so that when certain shit happens, you just have some automatic things to go to. And if they cut it off, you could just go the other way real quick. So where you're not thinking about the moves, I think that goes a long way. If you look at Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving, they always talk about his bag. He has a million different moves, right? When he hits his game winners, they're usually very simple, right? The scouting report on Kyrie is to force him left because he can go left or right, but if somebody had to choose, he probably kind of prefers going to his right more. That's why if you see there's sometimes in these game winners and like Kai, he'll do this shit where he'll be dribbling left, right? And he'll dribble right, and you'll see the person back up because when he has the ball in his right hand, you don't know if he's gonna hezzy. You don't know if he has so many moves, right? And he has a couple of game winners where he just does that move where he transfers it to his right and does a little fake or a little hezzy and just pulls it. Because the defender is preparing for a million different moves. And he said, okay, if you're gonna try to overcomplicate it, I'm gonna go simple now. Bop. Okay. In and out, step to the right, fade. Simplicity. Keeping the game simple. Now, watching Wemby in the Olympics, I did notice that his mid-range, I think, needs to be more consistent. I think he has the ability to have a real serious mid-range game. I know he was talking to KD. He wants to steal some things from KD. If he can take anything from KD, it's his 1 dribble pull-up, 2 dribble pull-up. I think if Wemby can... it would be hard for him to consistently post up, I think, because he's still lanky and people could push him off, right? But if he faces up, right, that 1 dribble will cause such a reaction from everyone, right? And if he could put it down on the floor and just get a shot up, that means the next time he puts it down, they're either going to jump it, someone's going to dig on the help, he could do 1 more dribble, he could do a spin. Like, there's, especially in the mid-range at his length and size, he's only ever a dribble away from the basket. So if he can perfect a 1 and a 2 dribble pull-up game, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Because watching him, I felt like that's where he was lacking a little bit. He doesn't necessarily have to be a post-up player right now. Obviously, he needs to add a little bit of weight still. I would love to see him post up a little bit more, but adding a midi game, I think will go such a long way for him. Such a long way. So, simplicity, I think that's the name of the game, right? It's kind of like when they teach you it's all about quality and not quantity. I say all the time, what can you repeat on success over and over and over again? Right? I think what makes these guys so great and what helps them is when you can impose your will and do a move over and over and over again. Your go-to move. Develop a go-to move, right? Something to LaMarcus Aldridge's point, when the game is tight, when everything is going wrong, you have something that you could go to at any point in time, and you have the confidence that you will get a good look. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a fadeaway. Maybe it's a dribble move that you always go to, or a setup to a dribble move that you always go to get to a shot. But here's the thing, right? And Kobe said it best. A one dribble pull-up is so important because at some point you're going to stop and shoot. At some point, no matter what move you do, if to go to the right, to go to the left, if you go right and then go back left, regardless of what you do, outside of a layup, a dunk, or a floater, I guess, right? You're going to stop and pull up. Now, guys have gotten all these step backs and all these different things nowadays. Just pull up. And someone at Wemby's size, I think he can utilize that at just as good, if not better, than anyone in the history of the game. It's unstoppable. So I would love for him to really simplify his game. When he's in his bag and he's going, bust out the sham gods and do some of this shit. But make sure on your go-tos that you're going 4 of 6, 5 of 8, 6 of 7, right? On your go-to stuff, so that when you're doing heat checks, you're going 2 of 5. It's all right. 1 of 4. It's okay. You get what I'm saying? That's how the game really works, right? You're not doing a bunch of hezzy, tween, pull, step back, spin. Like, that's not what the game is. You're not going to score an average 30 points a game consistently doing that shit. It takes so much effort. It takes so much energy. And the percentage of those shots are so bad. As opposed to a one dribble pull-up. like, hey, man, it is what it is. But hopefully, that's something that the younger generation can take away and learn from some of these guys, right? And, like I keep saying, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for, man. Now, let me see, where is this? Let's see. Here, let's read this article together. I don't think it's in here, right? All right, so now we're going to go back to Linsanity. We're going to take it back just a little bit, right? And this kind of goes hand in hand with the conversation that we were having the other day about how when you like someone, or when someone's a quote-unquote winner, we accept the things that they do, right? If they're winning, it's what Draymond and DeMarcus Cousins was talking about. If you're winning, it's passion. If you're losing, you're a bad teammate and you have an attitude, right? So this is about 2012 and Linsanity and the New York Knicks, and the rumor that Carmelo Anthony just didn't like what was going on and resented him, right? Excuse me. And this is what he had to say. So, a popular theory proposes that Lin moved thanks in part to resentment from Carmelo Anthony. The Knicks star attraction before his breakout, Lin declined to spread further blame on Anthony, but he felt that there were forces beyond the All-Star that wanted him out of Manhattan. That's the theory, and that's what everyone says. But I can't feed the speculation train because I don't actually know. I'm saying this truthfully, that there were multiple points of opposition completely outside of Melo within what was going on. One of those factors was head coach Mike D'Antoni's resignation, as Lin had previously excelled in his pick and roll sets and well-regarded work with point guards. A combination of incoming Mike Woodson's preference for isolation plays and a knee injury brought about the end of Lin's sanity, and indirectly Lin's Knicks career over with. Once D'Antoni resigned, there was already opposition within the organization, whether it was the coaching staff that took over or certain members of the front office. But there was definitely, from what I've gathered, in the few years after, it wasn't all as rosy as people thought it was. I don't know who to attribute it to, but I know there were multiple points of opposition. Though both D'Antoni and teammate Amari Stoudemire have confirmed that some in the Knicks locker room resented him for his instant rise to fame, Lin nonetheless said he remains pretty sad that the Knicks did not bring him back. He remains fond of that magic February night at MSG, an occasion seen by many as one of the Knicks' most triumphant and electric hours in building in recent memory. So, Lin is saying that there were multiple reasons as to why he thinks he was no longer a New York Knick. Now, he says he can't confirm or deny that it was Carmelo Anthony. I've said before that the money does matter in the NBA in terms of the hierarchy. The $30 million guy is going to get a majority of the shots as opposed to the $7 million guy. I think that's simple, right? And I think in this situation, Mike D'Antoni is a key factor. I don't think Mike D'Antoni ever liked Carmelo Anthony. I don't think he loved the way he played. I don't think he loved his style. I think that was an issue right there. And it could have been a scenario where Mike D'Antoni, the head coach of the team, it seemed like he was shading towards Jeremy Lin. Like he was favoring him instead of the star player. And when you're a star player, even though this guy is having a good couple weeks, right, it's still, all right, he's good. He can add to the team. We need him. But I've been here for 8, 9, 10 years doing what I do. He can't all of a sudden jump over me. He needs to sustain this longer. And if you watch those games, Jeremy Lin was good. But there were a lot of flaws in his game still. Even with Melo, there's flaws in his game. But there was a lot of flaws in Jeremy Lin's game. Just call it what it is. And it was very easy to put the blame on someone like Carmelo Anthony, who historically never said anything. First of all, it's proven that his former head coach had it out for him and was trying to slander his name. And seeing the way Carmelo Anthony's career ended, it was very clear that there were people in positions of power around the league that were trying to blackball him. It is what it is, right? Whether it was warranted or not, it's what happened. Now, we get to this, right? And this is what Carmelo Anthony had to say about a locker incident.
The locker room trying to get insanity. Did BMW? He like, no, I don't even want to take this. Nigga, what? This is New York. He like, nah, I'm not brought up on that. My parents. I hear that. Matter of fact, bring your parents in here. Let us talk to them.
There was 100 media in the locker room.
Linsanity could have been $100 million business. We was in a locker.
So everyone wants to paint Carmelo Anthony as in one way, right? And you know, if if you've watched Iman Shumpert, he's talked about how Melo always took the blame. He never deflected, even if it wasn't his fault. You guys should go check this out, right? Iman Shumpert, he said this about Melo. It won't even be his fault, and he'll take the blame for the team. All of his teammates have ever had, they've only ever had anything good to say about him. His brothers love him, and Bron, Wade, the best player, like, nothing bad to say about Melo. Right? And even in that moment, he's over here with, he's the money maker on the team, and he's saying, "Yeah, I think you should go get this deal. You should go get $100 million." That doesn't sound like a person that's hating or jealous, or that doesn't sound like him at all. Jealous? We're talking about the same Carmelo Anthony, nicknamed Melo, that called LaMelo Ball and said, "Nah, you got it. You got it, young fella. You could beat Melo. It's all good." Those two people don't even sound like the same person, right? So again, more shit that media perpetuates. Now, this is rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. This was a practice when Jeremy Lin was in practice against with the Lakers against Kobe. He don't want it. Look, Kobe wants the switch. He's asking for the switch. Motherfucker don't got shit on me. So, we go through all of these videos, right? And that's how Kobe was treating Jeremy Lin. Now, I don't expect anything different. But, people will say, "Oh, he's trying to build his teammates up. He's trying to toughen them up," while he's talking shit to them and saying they ain't got shit, da 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 da. But Carmelo Anthony, the person that's never said anything bad about this person, the person that said he should get the $1 million deal, is the hater, and he's jealous of him, of Jeremy Lin. This is what I'm talking about when I say, when we like the person, or when people like the person, they'll view it in one way, right? This is tough love. On the other side is jealousy. And I think a lot of guys, Boogie Cousins hit it right on the head. You can only control what you control, right? Their peers, the other players, they know what's really up, right? The people that they're in the trenches with. And now that they have these platforms, they're able to speak on it and put their narratives out there, right? But it's just always so interesting to me to see the duality, right, between two different people. You have a Kobe Bryant that copied everything that Michael Jordan did, right? Everything, from the way that he walked, the way that he shot, the things that he did, he copied everything. And he's praised and loved, Mamba mentality, blah, 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 blah. And then you compare that to Jason Tatum, who copied a multitude of people, and he gets clowned for it, right? we like one person, not the other one, and that's how people view things. And like I said, it is what it is, right? But it is something to note and be mindful of. And like I said, I think it's super interesting. Now, when watching the Olympics, we saw LeBron, Steph, and KD. And as unbelievable as they were, right? They were phenomenal. They also constantly reminded us that these guys probably won't be in the 2028 Olympics. They kept reminding us of LeBron's age, Steph's age, KD's age. And they kept throwing in our face basically that our favorite players are going to be retiring sooner than later, and they're at the end of their careers, not in the middle anymore, right? I saw this with Shaq. I saw this with Kobe, Tim Duncan, KG. The list goes on. And when Vince Carter retired, I was like, oh shit. And now it's the generation after that. They're nearing the end of their careers. And with that, right, the question is always, who's coming up next? What's going to happen with the NBA? And blah, 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 blah. Everybody is always worried and scared, right? But the future of the NBA is bright. And I mean really, really bright. Because when you look at the mentality, the competitiveness, right? The alpha male shit, right? Oh, we trying to beat each other up and we trying to win and take this. When we listen to some of these interviews with these younger players, whether it's a Chet Holmgren, which, he was on Podcast P, you should check that out. It was really great. Or Shea every time he says something, or Anthony Edwards, or Luka, or, just name some of these young guys, right? It's all about competition. It's all about striving to be better. Shea constantly says he thinks he's trying. Every time he's trying to be the best player on the floor. Anthony Edwards says the same thing. Tatum says the same. All of these guys that are 25 and younger have this mentality. And they're the ones that are carrying the league, right? Even a Wemby, right? The way that he goes about his business at 20 fucking years old. At 20 years old. And so when we get beyond that, right? When we talk about popularity, we're going to lose LeBron and Steph and KD, some of the most popular players we've ever seen. But then you think about it and, oh shit, we have a Ja Morant. We have a Anthony Edwards. We have a Luka Doncic. We have a Wemby. Right? If Zion gets it together, he was super popular as well too. So when it comes to the ultra popular players, we already have some of them. Just got to keep cultivating it. They got to keep performing, and it's going to get there. When you look at the players that are already established but they're still young, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Luka Doncic, Shea even, right? All of these guys that they're still in their, mid 28, maybe, they're still young, but have already success in the NBA. Now it's time for them to take that next leap. MVPs, championships, finals appearances, right? They'll be able to carry that because they've already been doing it with these other great players around. And then when you look beyond that, the players that have already been here for a while, and that aren't quote unquote young anymore, even though they still are. We have a Devin Booker, a Trae Young, a Giannis, a Jokic, a Karl Anthony Towns, a Bam, Joel Embiid, right? We have so many players. We have the Nova Knicks, Jalen Brunson in New York. We have a Paolo Banchero in Orlando, right? We have so much in the league. So when you look around, the next 10 years looks incredible. It looks incredible. Players are great. The mentality is there. The drive, whatever you want to call it, the skill, the talent, athleticism, it's all there still. So I don't think we're gonna miss a beat. I don't think we're gonna miss a step. I think we're still gonna be in a great spot moving forward, and I love that because all that means is there's just gonna be more basketball to watch, more basketball to break down. We're gonna have people become stars, people fall from stardom. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. The 2028 Olympics, I think, is gonna have some stories to it. We're gonna see some people come out and assume the role of, at the top of the food chain. We're gonna see some guys fall off, or some people kick them off, right? Take their spot. But like I said, I do think that we are in a great spot. We have so many great players, MVP caliber players, best player potential kind of players. And it's still entertaining. The game is fun. I'm super excited. I can't wait. Till then, I will see you guys later. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. It really helps the channel out. We are trying to take this to outer space, y'all. We're trying. And as always, you guys could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you guys for coming out, man. I really, really appreciate it. I want to say I'll see y'all tomorrow. I might try something new. We'll see. I'll figure it out. As always, like I said, thank you guys for coming, hanging out. I'll see y'all later, man. Peace. Thank you guys. Later.